something about myself. What, you wouldn't? Please. You'd throw a giraffe off a Noah's Ark just to save your sorry. The world's probably without unicorns because of one of your ancestors. Will you just let me finish a thought, for God's sake?
Louis, what exactly are you doing?
Louis is yelling at an urn. There's ashes in there, but it's not letting him finish his sentence. That is why I love the character Louis. He's an absolute nut. He's a great freaking lawyer, but he's crazy. Suits is still one of the most watched legal dramas of all time. I'm Jeremy. I'm a defense attorney and a former corrections officer, so I really want to talk about the episodes where Mike goes to prison. Let's check it out.
General wake-up for all inmates is at 6 a.m. You'll be standing next to your bed at that time. If you are not, you will face disciplinary action. At least 5 inmate counts will be held during each 24-hour period at random times. You will stand still during every one of those counts. If you are not, you will face disciplinary action. You will be at meals on time if you want to eat. You will be at work on time no matter what. You will keep your cell in a clean and sanitary condition. If you fail in any of these areas, you will face disciplinary action. Good, you're getting the picture.
Inmates are actually allowed to have hair. You don't have to cut their hair off the minute they come into prison. And there are inmate barbers that will actually give them haircuts, and some of those guys were actually really good at their jobs. So a lot of good haircuts around prison, actually. So this whole one cut all over thing that Mike's rocking now, yeah, probably not.
Ugh. What's this for?
What do you think it's for? Strip naked, put everything you own inside that bag, then follow me.
That part's pretty legit. I mean, when you go into prison, there's going to be an intake unit. They're going to run you through the system. They're going to take everything that you have on you. You're not going to keep anything. Of course, they're going to give you, your jumpsuit or whatever it is that particular state has for you, and then you're going to move on from there. So, yeah, that part, pretty legit. The fact that they won't tell them what disciplinary action means, no, I don't think so. Every time that I saw somebody actually in the intake process, which wasn't very much because I didn't work at the intake unit, but when I saw it, if somebody had a question, they would say, yeah, disciplinary action can be anything from adding to your sentence right down to losing simple privileges like TV or something like that, losing good time, losing rec time, something along those lines. They would tell them, yeah, it can be anything in between, depends on what you did. So, yeah, that's conversation. Yeah, it's dramatic. We like it, but probably not going to happen.
I didn't say we weren't going to figure something out, Louis. I said we're not calling Harvey.
Well, then what the hell are we gonna do?
Right now, I'm going to go to my office and fix myself a goddamn drink.
That strikes me as pretty realistic. I mean, I wouldn't work for a law firm that I just found out was hiring a fraud and knew it, and that he pled guilty to that fraud. I'd probably take off pretty quick, too. Would probably figure that firm's going under. So yeah, that strikes me as real.
Now what? Now you get dressed. And you wait.
Yeah, that's feeling pretty accurate too. Whole lot of waiting in the intake process and release process.
What is that?
It's a class action.
We're being sued for every case Mike Ross has ever touched.
That feels fair. I mean, he held himself out as an attorney. He wasn't an attorney. There's potential damages. Fraud is essentially the victim of the fraud relies on a fraudulent statement or a false statement made by another party, and they suffered damages because of it. So the hard part of any of these would be that even though Mike was a fraud, he was a really awesome fraud. He was good at his job. So the hard part would be proving damages. They had to actually suffer damages. But I don't know, maybe they bring up some other piece of the lawsuit here, not just fraud.
Ma'am, I'm a prison administrator, not a hotel concierge. I don't know the whereabouts of any given inmate at any given time.
Okay. Would you be able to tell me when I can see him?
Are you a spouse or immediate family?
No.
Then you'll have to go through the approval process.
But he doesn't have any immediate family, and I'm his fiancée.
And unless you have a filed marriage certificate, you'll have to wait till next month.
Next month?
By the way, there are a whole lot of really good legal reasons to get married. I'm not telling everybody watching this video you should go get married. But if you are married and your spouse suddenly passes away and your spouse owned property that they wanted to go to you'll probably be entitled to that property. That's not across every single state. Here in Arizona, that's a simple explanation. Okay? This one. If you're actually married, yeah, you can go and see people in prison. But the law doesn't recognize boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance. Those aren't legal relationships. And so when people are like, yeah, there's no real reason to get married. Yeah, maybe there's not. And I'm not telling you should get married. But actually, legally speaking, there's a lot of good reasons.
Finally.
Excuse me?
They came and took that thing away 3 hours ago. I've been sitting here twiddling my thumbs ever since.
You were not twiddling your thumbs. You were waiting for me to go over the results of that thing. And the results are you were full of shit.
Excuse me?
You heard me.
Exactly what did Mike think he was going to be doing anyway? What, to move him to his cell where he can twiddle his thumbs? He's in prison. What is he? He wants to be moved from one cell to another cell. Actually, as I say that out loud, surprisingly, inmates would frequently get mad because they didn't get to move from one cell to another cell. On lockdown units, there is a rec cell. It's just a bigger cell and it's empty. You'll see it portrayed in TV sometimes, but it's just a big cell. But inmates will say, hey, I haven't got my rec yet. Let me go get my rec. They got a little room in there. I guess maybe it's important to them. So we would go let them move from one cell to the bigger cell. So, yeah, I guess maybe that's what Mike's going for.
You came in here before acting like you were on my side.
Oh, let's get one thing straight. I didn't act anything. You waltzed in here thinking this was going to be like some prison movie, but it's not. So get that through your head. It's not a movie, brother. It's just prison.
It'd be nice if we actually had some prison counselors that were a little more focused on rehabilitation like this guy is. They took their jobs like that seriously. Unfortunately, a lot of counselors just think it's their job to help inmates do paperwork. You know, if they want to file another appeal or if they want to get a power of attorney and send it out to their family. They focus a whole lot more on that than they do on rehabilitation. We call our prisons penitentiaries, but honestly that's a lie because the word actually means a place to become penitent or a place to make yourself better. Fact is, it's prison, like that guy said. Prison is just a place to stay, a place to hold somebody. We really don't have, actually, let me give you an even better example. Arizona Department of Corrections recently changed their name to the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry. They added 2 more lies to the already existing lie.
Something about myself. What, you wouldn't? Please. You'd throw a giraffe off a Noah's Ark just to save your sorry. The world's probably without unicorns because of one of your ancestors. Will you just let me finish a thought, for God's sake?
Louis, what exactly are you doing?
Who's just yelling at an urn? There's ashes in there. But it's not letting him finish his sentence. That is why I love the character Louis. He's an absolute nut. He's a great freaking lawyer, but he's crazy.
And what if they want to go to med school? And what if they need a car? And then somewhere along the way you stop thinking about if they need a car and you start thinking, I need a car. And that's when you get caught. Because whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, you were never thinking about them in the first place. And whether you were or weren't, once you start, you don't stop.
That's one hell of a story, Frank.
Yeah, well,
So that's fascinating. It's interesting to see that. It's a Hollywood depiction, of course, but for somebody to say, yeah, I wasn't thinking about my family, because at almost every sentencing you will hear a criminal defendant say, Your Honor, please think about my family. I'm trying to take care of them, and you know, maybe they're trying to avoid prison, maybe they're just trying to get less prison, whatever it is. And they're saying, please think about my family. And the answer almost always comes unapologetically, you weren't thinking about your family when you committed that crime. While that's probably true, I don't agree that that should be the first answer for somebody that, you know, messed up once or maybe even twice. Definitely depends on the crime. Look, if we're talking about a serious violent offense, yeah, I'm with that line of thinking. If we're talking about simple drug possession, no, not so much. Let's get that person a diversion program, get them some rehab, get them going back in life.
Thought we weren't allowed to have phones in here.
yeah, well, I wasn't allowed to make inside trades either. But I did. And now I'm in here. What else are they gonna do?
Thanks, but I just can't right now.
Whenever you want. Phone's right here. Let's try to get some shut-eye, man.
He's got a full-size cell phone in there. It didn't even look like it was a flip phone. It looked like it occupied his whole hand. Generally speaking, when we found cell phones in prison, they were flip phones, right? I mean, we'll just say for the sake of keeping this video as clean as possible, it's not easy and quite a painful experience to carry a cell phone in prison sometimes. So a full-size smartphone? Yikes. We did find a BlackBerry once while I was there. I remember going back, the Blackberries, yeah, they're not around as much anymore. But it was one of the flip phones, right? It was a BlackBerry that actually folded in half. We nicknamed it the Brownberry. You can guess where we found it.
If you catch my drift.
At least now we know we have enough to fund ourselves for a while.
Do you guys have two rich uncles? Because I'm not carrying your asses if this thing drags out.
Louis, this is a team effort, and I swear to God, if you don't come through on this...
I hate to interrupt your Breakfast Club moment, but you need to sober up.
Donna, what is it?
According to Benjamin, the partners didn't just leave. They're coming after every client we have.
They can do that. You know, clients aren't tied to a law firm. And frequently, when an attorney leaves a firm, their clients will go with them. Maybe not all of them. Maybe somebody signed on because they really like the reputation of that firm. But when you're working with an individual and that person has actually been in the trenches with you and you feel really good about them, you typically stick with them. So trying to keep these clients and everything, that's going to be a really tall order, especially given this situation.
Yeah, maybe I'll just send Rachel a text. Yeah, let her know that I'm okay.
Sure thing, kid.
Just give it back when you're done.
Bringing a cell phone into prison is introducing prison contraband. There's different levels of introducing prison contraband. If I remember right, only the felony 2s are actually bringing drugs into prison. I think cell phone is either felony 3 or felony 4. I would have to go and look at it. Still, pretty high-level felony. I don't know how they treat it out in New York, but if you're caught with it or caught using it, he could be adding a significant amount of time to his sentence because he's picking up a brand new charge. Bad idea, Mike. Don't use the cell phone. Spoiler alert, you find out it's a totally bad idea for other reasons, but we'll have to cover that in another episode. All right, I'm Jeremy with Civitas Law Group. We'll see you guys next time.